Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, why do I feel older than I actually am? Maybe it's the fine lines that weren't there a year ago, or the constant tiredness that just doesn't seem to go away, no matter how much you sleep. We all want to age gracefully, full of energy, clarity, and purpose. And the truth is, healthy aging isn't just about genetics. It's about the small, everyday decisions we make, especially the ones we repeat every morning without even thinking twice. Science now shows that some of our most common morning habits, things we've done for years, might be silently working against us. They're not just starting our day on the wrong foot. They're setting off a chain reaction in our body that could be speeding up the aging process, day by day. But here's the good news. Once you understand why this happens and what to do instead, you can start turning the clock in your favor. You don't need to make huge changes, just smarter ones. So let's rewind the clock and look at one simple habit that almost everyone does, one that might be aging you faster without you even realizing it. James had always been a man of routine. After retiring from a long and fulfilling career as a school teacher, his life finally slowed down. Mornings were simple. He'd brew his usual cup of black coffee, ease into the day by reading the headlines, and then head out for a walk in the crisp morning air. From the outside, everything looked fine, peaceful even. James was still active, still friendly with the neighbors, still the same man who once stood tall in front of a classroom. But quietly underneath all that, his body was sending signals. And it was his daughter, Julie, who noticed first. She saw something in his eyes that hadn't been there before, a kind of tiredness that even rest couldn't fix. The sparkle was dimmer. His skin, which once looked fresh and lively, seemed dull and dry. Those dark circles under his eyes, they were darker than before. And the way he moved in the mornings, slower, stiffer, it wasn't like him. "Dad, why do you look so tired lately?" she asked gently. James just brushed it off. "It's probably just age, sweetheart." But here's the thing. What he was feeling wasn't just normal aging. Because aging, when done right, doesn't have to feel like that. There's a big difference between chronological aging, your actual age, and biological aging, which is how your body functions and feels. And what James didn't realize is that something in his morning routine, something he did every single day, was quietly pushing his biological age forward. His body was running low on energy at a cellular level. The fatigue, the dark circles, the stiff joints, they were signs of stress accumulating silently. And Jolly, who cared deeply and noticed every small change, wasn't ready to accept that this was just getting old. Because sometimes aging faster isn't about time, it's about habits. James had a routine, one he stuck to religiously. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., his alarm would buzz, and he'd be up like a soldier. No snoozing, no lying around. He'd stretch, take a deep breath, and head straight to the kitchen. And waiting for him, like an old friend, was his strong, steaming cup of black coffee. Now, James wasn't just drinking coffee for the taste. He believed it was his secret weapon, the thing that gave him the energy of someone half his age. And honestly, it did feel like magic at first. That first sip jolted him awake. He felt alert, motivated, and ready to take on the day. But here's the thing, and this is where the science kicks in. James didn't realize that his power routine might actually work against him in the long run. That simple habit of drinking strong coffee first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, could be silently pushing his body to age faster. How? Well, let's break it down. When you wake up, your body is still transitioning from a fasting state. Your cortisol, the stress hormone that helps wake you up, is naturally high in the early morning. Adding a strong stimulant like caffeine at that exact time can overstimulate your adrenal glands. That means your body starts releasing even more cortisol, sending stress signals throughout your system. Now, a little stress isn't always bad, but chronic repeated stress every single morning, that's where the problem begins. Elevated cortisol levels over time are linked to premature aging. Think wrinkles, fatigue, and even memory decline. So while James thought he was doing something good for his body, the reality was more complex. And the truth is, he's not alone. Millions of people wake up and immediately reach for coffee, rushing into their day without giving their body the gentle wake-up it truly needs. One weekend, Jolie invited her dad to spend a couple of days at her place. As a wellness coach, she lived and breathed healthy habits. Her mornings were carefully crafted: a bit of stretching, a glass of warm water, sunlight on her face, and then maybe coffee, but only after breakfast. So when she walked into the kitchen that Saturday morning and saw James already nursing his second cup of black coffee on an empty stomach, her instincts kicked in. "Dad," she said with a surprised smile, "you haven't even eaten yet. Why coffee first thing in the morning?" James laughed, not thinking much of it. "Sweetheart, it's my fuel. I can't start my engine without it." But Jolie didn't laugh. She cared too much. She pulled out a chair, sat across from him, and spoke with warmth, but a little seriousness in her voice. "Dad, you know that when you drink coffee right after waking up, especially without food, it can actually disrupt your body's natural hormone rhythm?" James looked puzzled. "What do hormones have to do with my morning coffee?" She leaned in a little. "Okay, let me explain. When you wake up, your body naturally produces a hormone called cortisol. It's your internal alarm clock. Cortisol helps you feel alert and ready to take on the day. But here's the catch. When you pour caffeine on top of already rising cortisol levels, you spike it unnaturally." James listened closely. This was new to him. "That spike might give you a short burst of energy," Jolie continued, "but over time, it messes with your adrenal system. Your body starts depending on caffeine for that boost instead of relying on its own rhythm. It's like constantly slamming on the gas pedal in a car. You'll get speed, but you'll wear out the engine faster." James raised an eyebrow. "So, my morning coffee is aging me?" Julie nicked and zocked. "Not the coffee itself, but how and when you drink it. On an empty stomach, it increases acid production in your gut, can lead to inflammation, and raises stress hormone levels. Over time, all of that leads to fatigue, poor digestion, dull skin, and faster aging, on the inside and the outside. It wasn't about blaming coffee, it was about timing and balance. Something as simple as pausing before that first cup could make all the difference in how young you feel and how vibrant you look." James looked down at his cup, thoughtful. That small, comforting habit he loved so much might be draining more from him than it was giving. Julie looked at her father and gently began, "Dad, do you know your body actually makes its own internal alarm clock?" James raised an eyebrow, curious. "It's called cortisol, a natural hormone your body produces early in the morning. It's what helps you wake up, feel alert, manage stress, and keep your energy steady throughout the day." She explained that cortisol levels are highest between 6 and 8 a.m. This is your body's way of preparing you for the day ahead. It's like nature's caffeine, already built into your system. When you drink coffee immediately after waking up, especially before eating anything, you're adding an artificial spike to your already high cortisol levels. That extra boost pushes your adrenal glands to work overtime. And when you do this regularly, day after day, it puts your body under low-level, constant stress. Julie explained that the biggest issue with this kind of stress is how invisible it often is. It doesn't always show up as panic or anxiety. Instead, it works silently within the body, triggering a low-level inflammatory response. This chronic inflammation acts like rust on the body's internal systems, slowly wearing down cells and accelerating the aging process. She broke it down further. This inflammation contributes to fatigue, sagging skin, wrinkles, reduced immunity, and even joint discomfort. All these signs, often brushed off as just getting older, can actually be the result of consistent, unrecognized stress that builds up from seemingly harmless habits, like rushing into caffeine the moment one wakes up. The root problem, she explained, is that many people start their day with coffee on an empty stomach. This forces the body to process a strong stimulant, while cortisol, the natural stress hormone, is already peaking. Instead of gently easing into wakefulness, the body is thrown into high gear too quickly. She used a simple analogy. The body, like a car in winter, needs a gentle warm-up. Just as slamming the gas pedal in a cold engine can cause damage over time, pushing the body with caffeine before it's ready can lead to internal wear and tear. Julie then suggests her father a healthier morning routine, one designed to support the body's natural rhythm. First, she emphasized him to rehydrate with warm water, mixed with lemon and a pinch of salt to replenish electrolytes. Then comes some light movement, stretching or a short walk, to stimulate circulation and gently activate muscles. And then, she forced him to take a light, protein-rich breakfast, such as eggs or a smoothie, to fuel the body with nutrients. Only after about 90 minutes does she have her coffee, once cortisol levels have naturally stabilized. This approach allows caffeine to provide energy without overstimulating the body. It also supports healthier stress management, balanced hormones, and improved energy throughout the day. Ultimately, the message was clear. It's not coffee itself that causes harm. It's the timing and the body's readiness that matter. That quick morning fix might seem harmless, but when repeated daily, it can quietly speed up the aging process, both inside and out. That very week, James made a quiet promise to himself. He was going to give Julie's routine a real shot. It wasn't a walk in the park. His body had been wired for decades to expect coffee the moment he opened his eyes. That strong aroma, the warm mug in his hands, it had become more than a habit. It was comfort. But he decided to break the cycle. So the next morning, instead of reaching for coffee, James poured himself a glass of warm water with a slice of lemon and a tiny pinch of salt. It felt strange at first, almost too gentle for someone used to a caffeine jolt. Then he stepped out onto the balcony and took a slow walk, breathing in the crisp air. Not a power walk, just movement to wake up his body naturally. Before breakfast, he did a few simple stretches. His hamstrings creaked a little, but it felt good. It had been years since he had moved with intention in the morning. Breakfast came next, light, protein-rich, just like Julie said. And only after that, about 90 minutes after waking, did he allow himself the coffee. But this time, it tasted different. It wasn't fueling fatigue anymore. It wasn't a crutch. It was a reward. Something he could actually enjoy without the crash that used to follow. And the results? They surprised him. By the end of the first week, James realized he was sleeping deeper and waking up more refreshed. The stiffness in his knees, usually worse in the mornings, had started easing. He didn't feel as sluggish in the afternoons anymore, and he didn't need a second or third cup of coffee to keep going. His energy felt smoother, more balanced, more natural. It was like his body had been waiting for this small act of kindness all along. 3 months flew by, and in that time, James's mornings had transformed completely. He now had a new rhythm. He began each day with warm water and a bit of lemon. A light stretch on the balcony followed, where he soaked in the early sunlight. Breakfast came next, something light but packed with protein. Only after all that did he sit down with his coffee, and strangely enough, it felt more enjoyable now. It wasn't a crutch or a crave fix. It was a calm reward after giving his body what it truly needed. The changes were subtle at first but steady. His sleep deepened. He woke up feeling rested instead of foggy. His joints didn't creak as much in the morning, and even his skin, once dull and saggy, began to glow with a newfound softness. His neighbors began noticing. "You look younger," one of them remarked. "What's your secret?" James would just smile. "A little daughterly wisdom," he'd say. But the truth was, he felt like a different person. Not younger in age, but lighter in spirit. More energized, more alive. And every now and then, he'd remember what Julie had told him over tea. It's not just what you do in the morning. It's how you treat your body when it needs you most. That's what determines how fast or how gracefully you age. James's journey shows that small changes in our morning routine can have a big impact on how we feel in age. By aligning your habits with your body's natural rhythm, hydrating, eating well, and moving before diving into coffee, you can improve your energy, mood, and overall health. It's not about making huge changes, but about being mindful of the small adjustments that make a difference. Start with one small change today and share your experience in the comments. Subscribe for more tips on living a healthier, happier life. Let's make each morning count.